Vi as well as the Akali try to go for that real good assassin plays, just finding the spot where they can get him off guard.
Yeah, I think obviously if you can snowball the Akali, you can snowball the Olaf, like you can run down the Corki and Orianna relatively easily. And you know, I'm talking about things like that first dragon fight, the first Rift Herald fight. You know, this is the kind of things that you can maybe look to snowball as 16-bit. I think you've got a stronger level 5 in general when it comes to fighting for that first dragon right here. So I think, you know, 16-bit are probably looking to put the gas on very early on into this game. You want, when you've got a Misfortune and an Olaf and a Braum, you want to be going in and scrapping and brawling as much as physically possible in the early game.
Yes, for sure. And now we've loaded into the game. We can see where the players are already coming from. Look at the 4-man or even 5-man invade right away coming from the side of 16-bit. Looks like they really want to stop the early snowball that might be happening. That Lee Sin might do early game time. What do you say about this strategy that so far is being pulled off by 16-bit?
Well, yeah, interesting because they are committing a lot of resources, especially Tong and Misfortune. They are being committed very heavily to the top side of the map here. And obviously, as you can see, there is some wild antics going on about where the Alistar is ended up being positioned and where's the Brawns ended up being positioned. It looks like they're actually sending their area 80 carries 1v1 down into the dragon lane here. Braum still hanging up on the top side of the map with the Alistar. This is a very interesting strategy. They committed a lot of resources just to take away the Lee Sin's red buff. It does look like Vi is actually committing to clearing some more of the camps on the top side of the map. She will walk across a ward in this scenario, and I get the impression that we could see some vertical jungling coming out. And when I say vertical jungling, I mean, you know, Lee Sin may look to try and get into the red side jungle of Vi. But what is going on here? Like, the supports haven't even made it to bot lane yet. Like, this is absolutely crazy.
Yeah, for sure. And here we can see, oh, look at that first one coming from that Lee Sin. I actually did not expect that to happen because somehow, with the strategy that was pulled off coming from 16-bit, I thought it's going to be the Lee Sin missing out just a little bit of farm early game time because, you know, okay, he tried to go onto the top side. Then they saw that members come from the side of 16-bit are there trying to go for an invade. So he has to transition on the other end of the map to find his farm, and lucky enough for him, they take down one target, come from the side of 16-bit, and that was very valuable. And I think that marksman what we've got from the ball lane, I mean the Corki as well as the Misfortune, they just tried to buy their time, at least get the waves that they wanted solo for themselves, while their supports are still roaming the map, finding the vision, just, you know, doing the jungle tracking work.
Yeah, for me that was an interesting strategy though, personally, because Misfortune is super strong in the laning phase. Like her double up does an obscene amount of damage. You're often looking for any kind of opportunity as a duo to go in and take advantage of the Braum passive alongside Misfortune, her damage in the early game. The Braum, I think, was so concerned about preventing the Lee Sin invade onto the red side jungle of Vi that he just got caught out by the Alistar, who hit level 2 naturally through sort of a passive experience leeching. And yeah, I think they just got a little bit too concerned with preventing Lee Sin heading into the bottom side. I wasn't too sure about that strategy from Braum, and I feel like they lost a little bit of the power of the laning phase from the Misfortune here. So again, this has been a very clunky early game. The dragon does spawn in 1 minute. It is an Infernal. It probably is just the most important dragon in the game right now. So I expect there is going to be some kind of brawl around this early dragon.
One thing I noticed though, it is not Marita Boy actually playing the jungle for the side of Liyab Esports. So it is him going for the support role and Migi going for the jungle. But for the meantime, we see in here an invade coming up from the side of 16-bit again. They failed this time because of the response coming from the side of Liyab. So that was really great. I mean, if we just talk about the time that the Vi spent on attempting to go for that steal, that did not happen. You know, he could have been missing some of the jungle or the farm that he would want to have for himself.
Yeah, and you just saw that they actually timed it rather well. Like, they've denied the red buff from the Lee Sin. They backed and reset. They picked up some, I assume, some items heading into this Infernal Dragon spawn. Misfortune has now just done the same. So they've actually timed their resets really nicely here. The only problem that I have is Olaf is still on the top side of the map. So it looks like Garen is heading down right now, but Olaf is still on the top side of the map. So we could be in a 4v5 scenario. It feels like that the entire 16-bit team, except for Olaf, have looked to coordinate for this Infernal Drake. But the team commit from Liyab, it just means that they're now in a 4v5 scenario, and I don't even think that 16-bit want to try and attempt this. They're just going to go for the steal.
Let's see if they're gonna go for that steal. Oh, look at that. Bullet time has been committed, but that will be enough to actually go for that steal for the Infernal Drake. Someone else in here is still committing onto that kill, potentially up against the Garen. They will get the Garen. Akali will, and they take a turret as well up top. So, given the fact, I think that was a 2-for-1 trade for that matter. 16-bit taking down maybe potentially even 2 turrets just for that Infernal Drake. What do you say about that, Excondro?
Well, I think realistically, I do feel Infernal Drake is one of the strongest Drakes in the game right now. That's a little bit of an overcommit though here.
Yes, indeed. I'm just not seeing it just quite nicely. It's very pixelated on my end, but we can see a double kill coming here from the Garen, but in the end, he will just die onto the hands of the Akali. Wow, this is also Liyab Esports not able to take down the first turret down bottom part of the map, but they suffered, or they lost 2 turrets up top. So that was massive, because the next objective that we're about to see is that Rift Herald that is about to spawn in less than 15 seconds. So given the fact that they got a position onto the top side, and maybe even for the mid as well, 16-bit is, maybe they will get an upper advantage onto positioning themselves. But seems like Liyab Esports will not allow themselves to lose that position, as well as they go for an early position onto that pit as well.
Yeah, it looks like they're committing the roster here to the Rift Herald. I do want to kind of touch on the point that you mentioned previously. You said, do you think it was worth it to trade the Infernal Drake for 2 towers top? Absolutely, yes. The reason being is that Infernal Drake, whilst the percentage damage gain is probably one of the most important scaling elements in the game here for Wild Rift, I would say that if you are 16-bit in this scenario, that percentage damage gain is not going to make a huge amount of difference in the early game. It will not really be into the late game that you feel the effects of the Infernal Dragon really kind of making the difference in terms of the damage output of the team. So, when it comes to at this stage of the game, especially when 16-bit are looking to play a more early game focused brawl heavy team, then I think they'll happily say we'll take the flat gold that those towers are going to provide us. They're going to give us some item spikes that we can work with, and we can use those to A, win this Rift Herald fight, like you said, and B, then maybe move on to another Drake fight. We have a bit of an engage in the bot lane here. Olaf trying to go in, but Garen, he just walks away.
Yeah, I mean, you can see how 16-bit is very much mindful about their turrets. They are not giving any turrets to Liyab Esports, but what they lost a while ago is the early position that they supposedly should have in here in the Rift Herald. We have a fight ongoing once more, and seems like that Braum is gonna go down, the Vi is gonna go down as well, but a comeback play coming from that Akali, taking down the Orianna. The members from the side of Liyab Esports will have to back away a little bit just to get that Akali, and this is a good position. This is even a good time to go get the Herald. But for the meantime, they're gonna go for a defensive play in the middle lane, not gonna give that turret to that Misfortune as well as the Olaf. But yeah, I think that was a really nice answer onto that early position that Team 16-bit got a while ago.
Oh, getting a spicy replay of the draft there, Dave. Thank you. No, but I think they again, one of the things about Corki, as you know, he picks up the package. Usually before these big neutral objective fights, it can be a very big difference to make a big game-changing ability, especially when used in choke points. Corki dropped that in the blue side entrance just from the river into the blue side jungle of 16-bit. It was a really nicely placed package. It made it very awkward for the majority of the 16-bit roster to coalesce into a proper 5v5 team fight. However, it does mean he won't have it for this dragon fight now, and I think 16-bit are aware of that. Now, one of the things that I found very interesting about the 16-bit strategy so far is they have refused to commit Olaf early to the fights. Not entirely sure why that's the case. I think Olaf is super strong in teamfight scenarios, especially in the early game. They've kind of been more interested in leaving him in a split push role. He is now coming down for this, but it's a split 16-bit team.
here everyone's just trying to contest this area where we've got another objective. Oh, the Lee Sin has fallen down, but a 1-for-1 trade so far, not yet even done. The power spike and the damage come from the Orianna is there already. Members on the side of 16-bit has to back away, and that Corky is gonna get one more kill. Vi is left alone. I don't think he will be in the best position to even try to contest that Drake, but for the meantime, this is Liyab Esports for sure is gonna go for that inhibitor take, or rather a tier 1 turret take in the middle lane. Maybe they'll be able to get one or two, I'm not sure. But no, the death timers are actually still low, so they have to back away and just reset.
Yeah, one of those things, we talked about the better team fight 5v5 comp coming out from Liyab. Oh yeah, we're at that point in the game now. Corky's hitting level 9, Orianna's hitting level 9. They're both actually level 10 at this point in time. We had some key items picked up, the Archangels, or now the Seraphs into the Archangels, obviously now the Leandries for the Orianna too. So these guys are actually starting to hit their really strong power spikes. And I feel like, again, like some of these fights in the early game, 16-bit committing Olaf away from the fight, even though it made sense maybe for the Infernal Drake, they also committed him away from the fight for the Rift Herald fight that we had as well. So I feel like they may have given away the edge. We've got another fight breaking out though.
Yes, for sure. In here, we've got the bullet time fully committed, but that wasn't really capitalized so well. I think it was a bad position in the end. Lots of HP bars still on the side of Liyab Esports, and they are really just obliterating the members of 16-bit in here. Looks like they're gonna be wiped out anytime soon, but the Cal is still safe. Somewhere there, down bottom part of the map. And might this be a Baron take anytime for Liyab Esports? Are they going to be resetting? Oh, Lee Sin is super low. I'm not too sure what they're going to be planning on this one. But that was a good power spike once more. Or a snowball for Liyab Esports.
Yeah, again, you're just seeing the pure dominance in the 5v5 part of the team fight here for Liyab. And you can just have a look back at that replay. Yeah, they're playing front to back so well. Like, they're able to just effectively keep the Akali pushed out of the fight. Corky is zoning so well with the Orianna, preventing much of the damage getting through the front line. And when I say front to back, I mean, what I literally mean is your tank's in front, you DPS it back, and you just kind of play the fight either kiting backwards or kiting forwards. And it was just too easy for Liyab to play these fights out. And this is why, I think the 16-bit should have tried to capitalize on that early snowball with the gold that they picked up in the top lane. But they've been running a very odd strategy to me. Like, I think if you're going to commit Olaf to a side lane, right, you have to commit Akali to the other and try and play a 1-3-1. Like, you say, okay, Akali's 3-1 in the early game, get her into a 1v1 scenario, force her into a situation where she's pushing side lanes, someone has to respond to her, and she can kill them in a 1v1 scenario. Olaf, go and push the other lane, and then the rest of our team will just be okay, fine, just pushing or keeping mid lane down. So you create pressure in the side lanes. You force this pure team fight comp to break up into 3 separate lanes to deal with the pressure. That would have been the way that I would have played this if I was 16-bit. However, sorry, carry on.
Sorry, go ahead. So yeah, what just makes me wonder actually is that 16-bit got a good early advantage from a while ago. I mean, that was just quite unfortunate. It was Liyab Esports who got the first blood against them, but we saw that 2 turret takes from a while ago, and that was an early position already for the Rift Herald, but they failed to position themselves in that pit and just get that area in such a way they will be shoving away the members of Liyab Esports, but that didn't happen. They got the position, they got the turrets up top, but the members were just roaming around somewhere down bottom part of the map, and they not got the advantage that they got early on, and this happened again. It keeps on getting repeated and repeated and repeated. They're just giving the position to Liyab Esports, and I think that is what Liyab Esports is just capitalizing on. Okay, they're not positioned early on, and then we'll take the bush, we'll take the pit, we'll take the area where the next objective is.
I think one of the problems that we have for 16-bit is that early advantage, then they grouped up for the Rift Herald, and they still left Olaf in the bottom side of the map. Olaf is a key part of what your kind of like double assassin type attempt at dealing with the Corky and the Orianna. Olaf isn't strictly an assassin, but he will run down your carries, right? He will just run at them in his ultimate, can't be stopped. and he'll kill your carries relatively quickly. You want to combo that with the Akali to blow up either the Corki or the Orianna quickly into the fight, and then start to pick apart the Liyab team fight. But they didn't commit Olaf to the Rift Herald fight, and then they fought when Corki had package. They got caught out in a great choke point, and then Liyab were able to dominate from there. It was just some interesting map decisions given the advantage that they picked up in the early game here for 16-bit, and you can see it's kind of essentially cost them the game, because I agree with the way that they played that early double turret take. Yeah, the little shockwave coming out. The fight might break out though.
Yes, and they're gonna go all out. Do remember, oh, look at that bullet time connecting to a lot of members of Liyab Esports. Looks like they need to back away a little bit. Everyone just ate at that bullet time coming from the misfortune. But we did see that Orianna already lost the ultimate a while ago, committing onto 2 members from the side of 16-bit. But what was quite unfortunate for 16-bit is that they already lost 2 inhibitor turrets on the end. So we're talking about the super minions of flowing towards that mid lane as well as the bot lane part of the map. But yeah, another note though, I just realized I want to say some trivia for the viewers as well. So both Migi as well as Moraita Boy has some background or experience in playing as a jungler professionally. But before we talk more about that, we can see the Olaf once more quite overextending down deep that up top lane, almost dying onto the hands of the members of Liyab Esports. So that was quite unfortunate. This is the only problem that you got. You know, when you lost a lot of turrets already, sometimes you don't really intend to overextend. You just want to go for a split push work, but since you already lost the position, it's gonna be quite hard because you don't really have that vision and everything. But yeah, going back to the trivia, Liyab Esports, Migi as well as Liyab Esports, Moraita Boy, both of them get a background in playing professionally as a jungler. And when you put them in the support role, I think that's quite an advantage because you know, okay, what's gonna be the mindset of my jungler? Where should I roam around? Where should I position myself? And I think that was one advantage as well that Liyab Esports has. So they know what to do in each of the roles, regardless if you want to flex them.
Yeah, I think that we have just got another fight breaking out here.
Yeah, another fight in here, and I think they're just gonna be going for the all-out damage, gonna be taking down the Misfortune. I think this is gonna be it soon.
I think this is game over here because I think it's game over.
Yeah, this is Olaf gonna go for that defensive play, but I don't think he can do anything about it because we got more super minions flowing down bottom part of the map. And this is it. Our game 1 gonna be taken by Liyab Esports. Unfortunately for a 16-bit, they kind of fell short on how they executed their play, their strategy.